Well, not everybody in the youth, but some people in the youth are out like being in gangs and shooting each other, and they don't know enough about their history to know the importance of who they are and where they can go, where the goals that they can reach in their communities and how they can help the communities.
I thought about the education aspect of it while I was watching the film. As you were brought over here as slaves, as the generation started going further and further, they started to be called, instead of Africans, they were African Americans. And then soon, there were a lot of the African Americans didn't want to even be considered African. Like, and I see that nowadays. Like, I'm not African. I'm American. I was born here.
Like I'm just black.
Yeah, and they're like, you know, clearly you can tell they're African, but they claim that they're just American. And it has a lot to do with the fact that in our education system, we're not being taught those things. We're not being taught that you are African American. We're not being taught about a lot of the history that really went about. A lot of like the Latin American countries had slaves from Africa brought over there too. Yet a lot of Latinos deny and like just refuse to believe that there's any African inside them or within their blood.
When I was getting back to what you said, like it brings me to like the island of Hispaniola all the time. Like you guys know my background is from Haiti. Some of you might not know. But like my sister went down to Dominican Republic, and she says that like what she saw is ridiculous. The tension down there is really, really bad from Haitians and Dominicans. With Haitians, majority of the Haitians have their roots are more back to Africa, and with Dominicans it's more dilute. There's more mix. It's more of a mixed race where 73% of the population is mixed white and black, or white Caucasian from Europe and Africans, while like 11% is straight African, and another like 16% is white. And it's so bad that like when the racism down there is what's the biggest problem. How if someone from Haiti goes to the Dominican Republic, how they're mistreated so bad, saying that, you know, they're this and they're that, but the people don't get back to their roots, and they don't really know where they come from. If you really say it, Dominicans are African. Majority of Dominicans are African, and Haitians are African, but there's such a big beef down there, and I find that as being a problem. And it's not only like a problem with like the Dominican Republic and Haiti, but it's a problem with like everywhere else. It seems like being African is something that people are ashamed of. It's not something that anybody wants to be called. And like
connotation that people need.
So
I was just thinking, when the part that the guy says that I don't like definitions that were imposed on us. So it was like, then the guy that was speaking Spanish, he was saying, okay, if he doesn't know himself, then he'll be subject to those who do know themselves. So it was just like that thing that I was thinking.
What I was thinking, was going through my head when I was watching it.
You got it.
Sorry. Right. What I was thinking, or like what was going through my head when I was watching it, is like how he was saying about African Americans don't even like consider themselves African or whatever, and it makes me think about like the ignorance that we have developed. Like everybody wants to be lighter, and everybody thinks that it's better to be lighter, so they try to disconnect themselves from their roots. And it made me think about, you know, our movement and what we're trying to do in schools to people learn more about their roots and learn more about this. And it was painfully truthful what they were saying. Like, you don't learn that, you know, I forgot the number, but he was like 500 million, something like that, 5 million.
He said 1.5 million out of 6.5
Yeah.
million.
Yeah, but you don't learn that stuff in school. You know, that stuff's not in the history books, and that the foundation of this country was built by the slaves that were here. You know, the food that was produced so that they can sell and make money was grown by the slaves. You know what I mean? That they basically built this country, and you don't learn that stuff in history. and everybody tries to whitewash the history. You know, everybody tries to clear that stuff out, and how they was talking about Dominican Republic and how their dictatorship and all that stuff went on, and he literally tried to purify the race. Purify. Like, and it's just the ignorance that not only this generation but the generation before us has developed is like leading us farther and farther away from what our roots really is, or really are.
It's funny how you say that with Trujillo, how he was trying to purify the race, because like he wanted to get rid of all the Haitians there. But every time I think of Trujillo, I think he's a fool, because how are you gonna try to kill a race when you're part of the race? Your grandmother was Haitian.
Yeah.
So how are you gonna try to kill?
I agree. I'm Dominican, and I see, like, when I go to Dominican Republic, the hatred that's towards the Haitians, and like they're the ones who like work, because not even Dominicans want to work. I know. Like, the Haitians are the ones that work, and like in this country, it's like it's mostly the Latinos and the African Americans that were put into vocational schools so that we could work for the white people. So as you can see, like, we are being further and further away, taken away from our roots, like Pedro said.
And that was just really quick. Like, that's not just here, like, about the books. Cause I remember when I used to study in DR, we would only learn about like when the Spanish conquered the island, but we never learned when we were like, you know, conquered by like the whole Haitian Revolution. So kind of brought me back to that.
I feel like the longer we go without knowing this, the longer it's kept from us. Like, the less we know it's there. Like, the more generations that go by, we feel like that history that never existed. They're slowly gonna start taking it from us, and once they take that, they deprive us from that. They've taken everything. That knowledge is power. I feel like there's a sense of pride when you realize that every aspect of your life has been touched by your African roots. There's not one thing that you have or have done that hasn't been impacted by it. And before I learned about it, I used to be ignorant just like everybody else. My family used to be like, you know, don't play with the Morenos over there because they're gangbangers or something, you know. Yeah. So you can see that own racism within my family. But like, as I grew up, and you know, and I had black friends, I've had white friends, I've had Asian friends, you know, you realize that, you know, those stereotypes are they're just formulated by society and like the media and the way things are portrayed, and like until we get that back, until we learn about it for real, until we get that knowledge put back instilled in us, then things are going to continue to go downhill.
We as a people, we are strong. We overcame many things, but we are also weak. And what the weak part of this whole world is that the ignorance they try to push upon us. In these books, they always tell us about Christopher Columbus and all these other people. But what about our history? How are you going to erase 2/3 of the world's history? And in the movie it said, a tree without its roots, how is it going to withstand in the wind? It's true. If we don't know our roots, we're going to become insecure, we're going to become angry, we won't know who we are.
Yeah, that's another thing. I also noticed that I looked in my history books. It's a history book from 9th grade. It's supposed to be World History 1. I looked right to the beginning, it's about Europe. All the way to the end, it's about Europe, maybe some China, but it's all on that side. We don't learn about like Central or South America. Maybe like a paragraph or two, but that's it. And I checked my book this year, World History 2, the same thing. We've been learning the same things.
Like, don't mention DR, no.
And the fact that one of the history teachers, like, now, like, they're studying Black History Month, but he didn't acknowledge like the Hispanic heritage, the Latino heritage month.
Yeah, I asked my history teacher on that. Why are we seeing videos and learning stuff about African? Well, I mean, I would understand that, but why are we celebrating Black History Month when it was Hispanic Heritage Month? We didn't even acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And his response was like, because this month overshadows that. And then I was like, okay. He's like, it shouldn't be like that. And I didn't get a chance to tell him that if he thinks it shouldn't be like that, why didn't he do anything to change it? And I think after that, because I said in front of the class, I put him on the spot. He just like, he just kind of tried to like not say anything about that and move on with his class.
I feel like people think that it's hopeless.
like I feel as if like we're constantly like highlighting, okay, there is a problem, but
what are we gonna do about
what are we gonna do to you know to change this problem? I know like we have this organization where we're trying to put ethnic studies to like enlighten other students like about what the problem is, but like there has to be a point where we have to take it further, and where all these nations that have all these African Americans, whether it's like Peru or Brazil or Dominican Republic and Haiti or Puerto Rico, which they never talk about. It's kind of weird, but it's a different subject.
The video said even like Mexico has slaves, and maybe in Mexico. I did not know that at all.
It's Africans in China. There are Africans in China. I had no idea. I saw the little map. I started going to China. I was like, what? Africans in China? So it's just crazy how it's everywhere.
It's like they've developed a fear about it. So there are people out there who are trying to let us know that our history is different and all that stuff, but they've developed some sort of fear about it to keep us away from that. You know what I mean? Because no one likes to be told other than what they think. No one likes to be told that what they've been thinking their whole lives is wrong. No one likes a carpet swept from under their feet. You know what I mean? So if you think, oh, you come from this background, well, you're completely wrong. You have some African heritage in you. No one likes that, and it's kind of like it's difficult to explain to other people because you get met by nothing but anger and like disrespect. But I feel like school is the best way, because you get at it from a young age and a young perspective. Even like they don't have to fully respect the fact, although we would love that they would respect the fact that they do have African heritage. At least they know, what I mean, where they come from and what they should embrace.